All right. Welcome back, everyone. We're diving deep today into a thinker who had some really fascinating ideas about prayer.
Oh, yeah.
John Calvin.
Mm-hmm.
And specifically the idea of praying, not just like with one set block of time,
Yeah.
not just like, okay, got to pray for an hour a day, got to get it done,
Uh-huh.
but more like throughout the whole day.
Mm.
So, yeah, praying without ceasing.
That's the one.
That's the one, right?
Yeah.
That's from Thessalonians.
It is.
And so he really wrestled with this idea of what that actually meant.
Yeah. How do we actually do that?
How do you actually do it?
Right.
We live in a busy world.
You do.
He lived in a busy world. Geneva was a bustling city back then.
Oh, yeah.
It's not like they were just, relaxing in the countryside, thinking about theology. They were
Right.
living their lives, trying to figure out how to fit, their faith into all of that. So he thought about this a lot, and it seems like what he came to is that praying without ceasing isn't about like literally never stopping talking to God.
Yeah.
It's more about like this attitude of awareness, I guess.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah, of being aware of God's presence. Sort of an ongoing inner conversation.
Yeah, like a running dialogue.
Yeah. Okay, I can get on board with that. But how do you make that practical? You know what I mean?
Absolutely. So that's where his 5 prayer times come in.
5 prayer times. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming this part of how we answer that question of, okay, but how do we pray without ceasing?
Exactly.
So what are they?
So the 5 times are when you wake up.
Okay.
Before you start work.
Right.
Lunchtime after work.
Okay.
And before you go to bed.
So it's almost like these natural pauses in the day.
Yeah, they're already there.
You're already kind of stopping what you're doing.
Mm.
And so it makes sense to be like, oh, I'm stopping what I'm doing anyway. Why don't I take a minute to pray?
Right. It's a perfect opportunity.
Yeah. So instead of just like randomly praying at any time of day, he's saying, okay, let's use these specific times.
Exactly. And they each have like a specific purpose as well.
Really?
Yeah.
Like this.
So, for example, in the morning when you wake up, you can pray and thank God for a new day.
Okay.
Ask for guidance.
Mm-hmm.
Before work, you can pray for focus,
Right.
for strength.
Yeah, to deal with your coworkers.
Yeah, exactly. Lunchtime is great just to kind of recenter yourself.
Oh, yeah.
Find some peace in the middle of a busy day.
Yeah, you get that break from work and then you're like, all right, got to get back to it. But
Yeah,
you had a little moment of peace.
exactly.
Yeah, so it's like he's kind of hacking the schedule
That's a good way to put it.
to make room for
Right.
the spiritual, which is, that's relevant, right?
Oh, it's so relevant, especially today.
We all have our calendars.
Yeah.
And our schedules and our to-do lists. And
Yeah.
how do you fit anything else in?
Right. And I think that's where this is so helpful because it's not like adding a whole new thing to your schedule.
Yeah.
It's using what you already have.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. So these 5 prayer times are like a framework,
Yeah.
a starting point
A jumping off point.
for building that habit
Mm-hmm.
of connecting with God throughout the day.
Yeah, that continuous awareness that we were talking about.
Okay, so there's 5 prayer times and there's 5 prayers.
Well, there could be.
Well, what do you mean?
So Calvin actually wrote.
He wrote prayers,
He did
like
that
specific prayers.
for each of these 5 times.
What?
Yeah.
Okay, hold on. I need to back up for a second. He didn't just say like, hey, everyone, here are 5 times you could pray. He's like, here are 5 times you should pray.
Yeah.
And here are the prayers for those times.
And here's what you should say.
Wow. Okay, where can I find this?
You can actually find them in the Geneva Catechism.
Okay, so the Geneva Catechism is like this big book.
It's basically like a guidebook for the Christian life.
Mhm.
And it covers all sorts of different topics, and the prayers are in there.
So it's almost like a little sneak peek into how John Calvin structured his own prayer life.
Absolutely. You get to kind of pray alongside him.
Wow. Okay, so are these like super long prayers?
No, they're actually quite short
Okay.
and concise.
Okay, good.
Which I think is really helpful
Yeah.
because sometimes long prayers can be intimidating.
Oh, yeah. It's like, I don't have time for that. I don't have the energy for that. But if they're short and concise, that makes it more approachable.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And they're really focused on the specific time of day.
Okay.
So, for example, the morning prayer, it's all about expressing gratitude
Mm-hmm.
for a new day,
Right.
asking for guidance,
Yeah.
things like that.
That's good. It's like having a little cheat sheet. I love that. Yeah. a cheat sheet for meaningful prayer,
Yeah.
especially if you're elation, feeling kind of stuck or unsure where to even start.
Absolutely.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So you can use these prayers that he wrote
Mm-hmm.
as inspiration
Yeah,
to create your own
personalized version.
Yeah, and you don't have to like write a novel.
No, keep it simple.
Just a few sentences.
Yeah, even just a phrase.
Really?
Yeah.
That's encouraging to hear, because I tend to overthink things, especially when it comes to prayer.
I think a lot of us do.
It's like, I want to say the right thing. I want to say it the right way.
Mm-hmm.
And so then I end up not saying anything.
I get that.
Yeah. So I like this idea of just being concise, focused, and really tailoring it to that specific time of day.
Absolutely.
So thinking about all of this idea of these 5 prayer times.
Yeah.
Throughout the day, it kind of reminds me of how I structure my mornings.
Oh, tell me more.
I like to, take a few minutes to kind of like reflect and think about what I want to accomplish that day.
Yeah.
Set some intention.
Yeah. Maybe I could incorporate a short prayer inspired by Calvin
I love
into
her.
that routine.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. That's kind of how I'm thinking about applying this.
I think that's a great way to do it.
Yeah. What about you?
Well, for me, it's really that idea of using those natural pauses in the day to reconnect with my faith. It's not about adding another thing to my to-do list.
Yeah.
It's about weaving prayer into the fabric of my day.
Yeah, and I think that's really the heart of what Calvin was getting at. It's not about this like separate compartmentalized thing.
Yeah.
It's about this ongoing connection with God. So I think the question for us as we leave this deep dive is, how can we take this idea of praying without ceasing and actually make it a reality in our own lives?
How would that change our perspective, our choices, our awareness of God's presence? If we really saw prayer as a thread woven throughout.
Our entire day.
That's a good word, a thread woven.
Throughout our day.
Yeah, I like that. Well, thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
It's been a pleasure.
And we'll see you next time.
See you then, Nick.
In the morning light, before the day begins, I'll take a breath, let your love sink in. Before the rush, the noise, the race, I find my calm in your gentle grace. Just a moment with you, that's all I need. A whispered prayer, a planted seed. Every step, every breath, I feel you near. In these moments with you, my heart's clear. Before the work, the plans, the climb, I'll pause to give you a little time. At noon I'm grateful, I'm renewed. With every prayer, I'm closer to you. Just a moment with you, that's all I need. A whispered prayer, a planted seed. Every step, every breath, I feel you near. In these moments with you, my heart's clear. Evening comes, I breathe again. Reflect on where this day has been. Through every joy, through every fall, you've been with me through it all. Just a moment with you, that's all I need. A whispered prayer, a planted seed. Every step, every breath, I feel you near. In these moments with you, my heart's clear. When night falls and the day is through, I close my eyes my thoughts to you. In these moments, I'm never alone. With you, Lord, I am home. Oh. Ooh, 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 ooh.